let's start with the back end because I think it's fairly easy to I think there'll be three goalkeepers. So I think Jorgensen, Sanchez, and let's just say I'm gonna put. I forgot what number he was given for the Club World Cup. I'm gonna just put Penders there because there's sort of. I hope Penders goes on loan, by the way, but there's rumours that he stays as the third keeper. So let's just put him there. This is sort of just to figure out what sort of numbers we're gonna have, right? Let's say Colwell, Badiashile left side, Kukurea as the left back. You've then got Tosin, Chalobah, and you've technically got Fofana as well. So let's do that for now. You've then got Gusto and Achempong. So again, Achempong could be loaned, but again, we're going to go through that in a minute. You've got Casado and Lavia, but you've also got let's say Casado and Enzo. Let's put Lavia here. Let's put Enzo there. Just where I don't have a Sugo on here either. We're going to put Andre, who I think was number 17, was Andre? Is he 17 or 19, Andre? Put Santos in here. We'll put a Sugo in here too. And a Sugo's number 14, I think. It is 17 for Santos. Cool. This one needs to be a bit bigger, this box. Then let's just put Dewsbury Hall in here for now. Assuming Kunku gets sold. Assuming George, yes, Sarr and Anselmino. I'm not going to put them in to begin with because I think the likelihood is both of them get loaned. So I'm going to leave them for now, but good shout. Let's put Madueke here for now. Let's put Jackson there for now. Let's put Gittins, the other one. We don't have a number for Gittins yet though, do we? So let's just do that. Have I missed anyone in terms of... So what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to move Achempong because I think Achempong could get loaned. I think it's more likely Achempong gets loaned than we manage to move one or two of these guys, like Gusto and Chalobah, for example. Esteval, of course. Of course. My bad. Okay. Good shout. Good looks from the chat to help out there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So we've got a 25-man squad right there. Of that, the attacking options are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 attacking options, and that's if you include Dewsbury Hall as an attacking option. Maresca more so has used him as that this season. Sort of, I do need to update Palmer's number. You're right. Good shout as well. So we've got a 25-man squad there now, and that's including if you say loan, you selling Kunku, so let's get rid of him. George and Achempong go out on loan. Okay. Now the idea for me, I think, would be that you probably want to lose one of these right-sided defenders and bring in somebody like Hato. So if I put Hato here, because he offers sort of more versatility, they probably want to then sell on Chalobah, realistically. Let's put sort of the sales down here. So I probably should have put Kunku there as well, but let's just leave it like that. Chalobah's just for sale, and these two are for loan, George and Achempong. So let's say Hato is a signing there. We've only lost one, we've not lost a player, so we're still on 25-man squad, but we've now got 2 in each position across the back line, and you've got a little bit more fluidity in the sense that you've got sort of players who can fill in multiple roles. So Hato can do both. If you wanted to move Cole over and play him with Badiashile, you could, as we saw the other day. So that's probably the back line and goalkeepers done. You think you see Trev and Badiashile going? That would be interesting if they could. I think they'll be trying more to get the likes of Disassi off the books. I think Badiashile stays. I think Maresca quite likes him, and I don't mind him being the backup to Colwell, honestly. We all know that Gusto and Badiashile have to go, and Achempong have to stay. I would like Achempong to stay, but only if his minutes were going to be guaranteed, which I don't think they will, in which case I think a loan's better for him. Gusto, I don't think will be sold either. Trev's our best centre-back. I just think he's the most likely to be moved because I don't think, again, Fofana is one of those ones that clearly they want to keep around for when he is fit. What I've just thought of though, with Fofana barely fit, maybe if you do sell Trev, maybe you do keep a Chempong around and like try and sort of give him as many minutes as possible. Purely because if Fofana's then out, you've got less options as the right central defender. So I'm gonna put a Chempong on the side purely because I don't know how if he'd sort of make that part of the 23 either, because Chempong's only just sort of been brought into the senior side. I wonder if he wouldn't sort of view him in that way. In terms of the midfield, I think all five stay, which is interesting because now you then end up with, how many did I say we have? We have 25 here, don't we? We have 25 players. I think KDH probably goes. Although I don't even know if he gets sold, but like he's another one that seems to be on the chopping block. And you're saying you don't count Fofana. So this now is a 24-man squad, and that's with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 attacking options, and Maresca said 8 or 9. So let's say it's with 8, but that's still technically higher than the 22 to 23 players. You don't know how you can get down to 22, 23 players with Fofana, Lavia, and James injury issues. That's kind of what I'm thinking as well, Pocket, which is why I wonder if the likes of, like, he's, like you say, 22 to 23, but I wonder if, say, a Chempong is not seen as part of that because he's more of a backup to Fofana. Like, if he gets injured, but he's also young enough that maybe they don't view him as that senior, even though he has been sort of brought up this year. And this is also meaning that a lot of players have to get loaned out too. But this is a 24-man squad. Like I say, it needs to be 22, 23. Now, the good thing about this is, let's say Madueke is sold. Okay. Now, what you have is, and you could, whether Enzo gets sort of seen as an attacking option as well as one of those 8, I doubt it. But this makes it a 23-man squad, or like first team squad. But now you only have 7 attacking options, and he said he wanted 8 or 9. So again, does it mean that Esteval isn't viewed as part of the 22-23 because he's going to be sort of settling in? So then maybe you do bring in a Kudus. And then again, you've now got sort of options everywhere. So you've got Kudus who can play on the right, 10, or the left. You've got Gian Pedro who can play left, 10, or up front. You've got Neto who can play on both wings. You've got Esteval who wants to play more in the 10. So again, like, does that actually mean Kudus comes in to fight with Neto on the right and Esteval ends up sort of playing bit part minutes behind Palmer this year? This would make sense in terms of this would be a 24-man squad, but that's including Esteval. Let's say you put a Chempong in there as well. That's a 25-man squad, but 2 of those players are sort of so young with Esteval and a Chempong that, and even Hato, to be fair, you've got like players that maybe don't mind being on the periphery, say Gittins as well, Penders as a goalkeeper. So again, keeping that third goalkeeper around, maybe that doesn't even need to count as part of the 23-man squad because again, he's a third choice. And they know their role. And ideally that wouldn't be Penders. You'd probably just want that to be Slanina so that Penders can go out on loan and get sort of time actually progressing. If this was our squad going into the season, let's say Madueke out and Kudus is in, for example, and yeah, it is rough. How happy out of 10 would you be with this squad build? As it is. So again, I've added a defender, and then we've added Kudus as well. Let's ask you first what you think about that before we actually get into why I think about Kudus and Kenda, why that could sort of factor in. DU, I think, will be loaned out. Sell at an 8. Sell Jackson. Badiashile out and Capier in. I just don't think we make that many moves, is my thing. I think like 1 or 2 moves, like a Hato and a Kudus, that's still 2 more moves. Or Ekatike as well. Goalkeeper situation is scary, I agree. That's another thing. Maybe Sanchez, maybe they do manage to sell someone like Sanchez and you do bring in Magnan. Or somebody else. Only issue is Jackson 9, Pedro left wing. I think he's a 9. But yeah, like, this is, again, he's there in the chart, but he can play anywhere, so it doesn't really matter. Like, you could fiddle things around so that it's like this, and now he's seen as a 10. Like, it just depends what way you sort of put things. But I think it will be so sort of fluid in that sense that it doesn't really matter. It's more so that you've just got 8 attacking options. What's up, Sean? What's up? Hit the like button whilst you're in. KDH underrated. I don't mind him being around as a squad player, for sure. I actually kind of agree with this take. I don't know about... Not 100% sure I agree with the low block take. I don't think it's like one of his main sort of qualities. Like, but I rate his sort of effort and the way that he sort of fought at the end of the season. I thought was actually really important. Don't you think we need our tall lads? Yeah, I do. I just think I think Sarr will get loaned out because I don't think Tosin gets moved on. I don't think Fofana gets moved on. And I think even if Chalobah gets moved on, Sarr won't get the minutes he needs. We're at 61 likes. Let's go, Daniel. Can we get that to 75? Because we've got more than 75 people in it. Thanks for the update on that, Daniel. Kudus or Fofana or Torn? Torn, that's interesting. Does it depend if Madueke sold for you, though, Football Universe, as to which one you pick? And yeah, which type of centre-back is tough? Because for me, it depends on who you move on. If you move on 2 of the right centre-backs, then I would definitely go and get like an actual like aggressor right centre-back. But I'm so big on a Chempong that Hato's kind of the one that I want most now as a defender in my head. Yes, Madueke goes. So if Madueke goes, you'd pick Kudus. Or that's what I mean. Like, does Madueke going, does that make the decision easier for you of which one you'd prefer, Kudus or Fofana? Or is it just as hard? I want to get all the transfer business done for the pre-season. Ideally, yeah, but we're probably going to have a few weeks off anyway after the Club World Cup, so there'll be plenty of time to do the business. What you've put here is true, I think, Mauricio. I think he wants one in each position like this, and I think then one who can cover everywhere. But I don't think it's even as simple as one who can cover everywhere. I think it's like you want a few that specialise in one, and then you want a few that specialise across like a few like in-betweeners. So you've got Pedro Neto who can play multiple, Esteban who can play multiple, Kudus would be able to play multiple, so that would be very movable. Brings to the squad. Central carrying is one of the big ones. I think like his ability to sort of take it infield and sort of protect the ball when he is driving infield is a key one for him. Again, transition threat. He's very sort of duel heavy, works hard off the ball, like wins his duels in that sense. And he's direct, much like Madueke. Now, let's talk about why I think Madueke why I think Madueke to stay is a good idea, or at least why I'm sort of hesitant. And it's largely around Quenda. Let's say Madueke sold, Kudus is signed, and you've then got Quenda coming in 2026. Now what you've got is you've got a massive overload of players to play on the right, because if you want Esteval to start, because Palmer's starting, where's Esteval going to start? Probably on the right. Like, yes, maybe his first season he gets minutes as the understudy to Palmer, but if you want to play them together, you're going to have to find a way which has them both, which would be Esteval on the right. Then your minutes are, can Quenda play on the right or the left? So and he's another one that you want to be given good minutes to straight away. João Pedro, Gittins, who just a massive investment and could explode hugely, is another one. Neto as well. Kudus, at this point, you have to sell somebody, in my opinion. And at that point, you're moving on someone like Neto, who I actually don't think should be moved on, because I think the intangibles that he brings, I think he's a brilliant crosser, which is a different type of player that we miss. I wouldn't want to sell Neto because of that. So therefore, like, you're then looking, do we move on João Pedro straight away again? Do we move on Kudus straight away again? Do we move on Jackson at that point and move João Pedro to there? Maybe that's the most likely. But again, it depends what other moves they make in the window. Whereas if you don't buy Kudus and you keep with Madueke, this is your situation for this season. Then next season, you sell Madueke, you bring in Kenda, and it's much more manageable. It's a pretty much straight in and out, and you don't even, like, you can make the decision on Madueke then and there, because if he does explode, maybe you don't want to get rid of him, and maybe you sort of, then you do look to maybe move on Jackson instead, but it gives you options, and I think it keeps the scope wider. Whereas I think by doing this move to Kudus, I think you're blocking pathways without thinking about which your next move will be to sort of free it back up, especially when you then like move Esteval over to here. And yes, Kenda can play on the right, Neto can play on the right, Kudus can play on the left, on the left for all of them, and like can play in the 10. There's versatility there. What if Kenda gets injured or doesn't improve? But again, like Kenda would be coming in as like a 9th, not an 8th. So like, and yeah, he's on a 7-year deal. Kenda is somebody I want to give like huge minutes to. Like in the same way that we talk about how good Esteval is, Kenda is a ridiculously high level talent. The reason you're for the Kudos signing is because of his versatility. So if you overload the right a year, he can cover somewhere else. Yeah, and I do hear that part of it. Like I said, I understand that he can play multiple positions, and that's part of the sort of like idea of bringing him in. But do people understand what I mean by sort of the clogging of the like? Who would you then? Because like, say this is then the case in 2026 of our attack. Ignore the back line. This is our attacking line. Who would you move on, or who do you think becomes unhappy? Because one of the two happens. You either have to move somebody on, or someone like Kenda gets unhappy. Someone like Esteval gets unhappy. So, or like Gittins. So, which would you, of this sort of attacking unit, if you then had to move one on, which would it be in 2026 when Kenda does arrive? Let me know. That's kind of what I just put here, Prem Talk, for like what could happen. Chalobah and Madueke being sold, George being loaned. Get your point though, but it's hard to make sense of the squad. Yeah, I hear it. Another thing, on Esteval has had a really bad 6 months at Palmeiras. I wouldn't say really bad at all. Definitely not. It's not a guarantee he'll have a big impact right away, and that's another reason why I want to keep Madueke, right? Because then Esteval is only a backup as a right wing and a 10, so that doesn't affect it. You're all saying Jackson, which makes the most sense. Palmer has to go. That's nuts. And that's what I mean. That is the most likely, I think, raised that we would then sell Neto, but I just don't really agree with it. Chalobah better than Cole? No, I don't agree with that. I think Sarr has been brought in to replace Fofana, partner Levi permanently. Long term, maybe. I don't think so straight away, I wouldn't say. What has Neto done that puts him ahead of Madueke? In terms of a starting position, like for next season, overall, I'm a big Madueke fan, but I think it's the intangibles that Neto brings as to why I keep him around the squad. And I would rather him be a backup than Madueke, especially if you're then going to bring in, if you have Quenda and Gittins on either wing, I think you've got the sort of directness that you get from Noni. I think then what I want from my other role is a very cross-oriented, hard-working, tenacious player. And I think Neto fills that role better than Madueke. So overall, that's what I'm thinking, like long term. Hard to decide now, considering we haven't seen a few of them play. Yeah, that's fair. From Brazil, Palmeiras fans have been hating on him. Not that I agree. I think he's one of their best players. Yeah, I've seen some, but again, he's already moved on, so like that affinity towards him is like slowly. It's not gone because like they still love him, obviously, like generally, but it's not, the protection isn't going to be there as much for him because he's not. They know he's not their player. Like what you said during the Fofana stream, it makes more sense to keep Noni and yeah, for sure. Where's Mamadou Sarr staying? Is getting a loan. Yeah, it could be the other way around. It could be Sarr stays, Chempong gets a loan. I think maybe Chempong's maybe more suited to. It's tough because I want Chempong to get minutes, so it's tough. Now has the hunger. I agree with that. Better crossing off ball movement. Yeah, that creates more chances. Yeah. Pardon me. I don't think Esteval needs a loan. No, I want to integrate him this season, but slowly. No, he's been more direct in recent months. To be fair, he's been trying to be more direct. Yeah, but I don't even think that's like a key thing because like. I want him to do it at times, but I quite like that he's a bit more of a measured version. As long as you've then got someone like a Gittins or a Kenda or like at the minute Madueke to give the opposite or like something a little bit different. Any keeper outside of Mike you would suggest? The one I always go back to is Chevalier, but it's tough because then Penders is route. I just think Maignan made so much sense. Like I said though at the beginning. For me, it would have been Petrovic. If you weren't going to get Mike Maignan, then you should have kept Petrovic around, and he would have been the bridge towards Penders. So at this point, goalkeeper's a very confusing one. Understand why people don't want Madueke sold because he could explode, but it's all if buts and maybes. I mean, he didn't get 20 GA last season though. so he's not ready at that sense. But he is ready. I think he would make an impact straight away, but I just think Madueke would improve again next season. For me, he's untouchable, Martin Palmer. We should definitely keep Madueke for another season. Yeah, exactly this, Bruce. Trouble when Quenda arrives. Bolka, yeah, I quite like Bolka. No point keeping George and Chempong. Yeah, and that's what I mean. I'm willing for them both to go out on loan to get the minutes that they deserve, to improve upon the minutes they already got this season. If George hadn't got the exposure that he got this season to the first team, then I wouldn't have minded him staying around as like a ninth attacker. But because he's had that exposure now, I want him to continue with that exposure to first team football.